My name is Andrew Keller, and until 2 months ago, I was a nobody, a quiet assistant in the corner office of a towering real estate empire, Vanguard Estates. I fetched coffee, booked meetings, made spreadsheets. And I kept my head down. Always. Especially around Ms. Veronica Steele, the company's CEO. The kind of woman whose name could stop a conversation. Late 40s, precise, elegant, terrifying. Her heels could be heard down the marble hallway like a countdown. The kind of boss who could make or break your entire career in one breath. And I had always stayed off her radar. Until one stupid, careless moment changed everything. It happened on a Friday. I was tired. Frustrated. I'd stayed late 4 nights in a row, covering for a coworker who skipped out. My inbox was overflowing. And Veronica had just barked at me in front of a client for forgetting to print one extra copy of a memo. I opened a chat window on my work email meant for my friend Mark in accounting and typed. She treats me like a damn servant. If she wants a secretary in heels and lipstick so bad, maybe I should just show up in drag and really give her what she wants. I hit send. Too late, I realized I hadn't messaged Mark. I had emailed Ms. Veronica Steele directly. Panic. Shaking hands. I stood up, knocked my chair over. No reply. Not that night. Not all weekend. But Monday morning? Everything changed. Veronica summoned me to her private office. No expression on her face. Just a short email. 10 a.m. sharp. Don't be late. Wear something appropriate. I wore my best suit. I combed my hair. I even skipped breakfast out of anxiety. She sat behind her desk, legs crossed, calm and unreadable. Andrew, she said coolly, you sent me quite the message. I tried to apologize, ramble, stumble through it. She held up a hand. Enough. You're not fired. Relief swept over me. You're reassigned. Are reassigned? Starting today, you'll no longer be an assistant. You'll be my personal aide, in a more specialized capacity. I blinked. She opened a drawer and slid a small package across the table. Inside, a pair of black pantyhose. Put those on. In the ladies' room down the hall. Double what? You made a joke, she said, smiling faintly. Now you'll live the punchline. I didn't move. If you want to keep your job and your reputation, I suggest you follow instructions. I have other uses for you now, Andrew. And just like that, the trap closed. The woman I mocked would make me into something new, something softer, obedient, elegant, something I never asked to be. But a part of me, some traitorous whisper deep inside, wasn't entirely horrified. A part of me was curious. What would she do next? And what would I become? I stood frozen in the private bathroom just outside Miss Steele's office, the opaque black pantyhose trembling in my hands like they were something radioactive. The soundproof door clicked behind me. No escape now. My reflection stared back, clean-shaven, white dress shirt tucked into navy slacks, eyes wide with disbelief. This wasn't happening, right? But the pressure in my chest said otherwise. Veronica Steele never bluffed. I kicked off my shoes, unfastened my belt, slid down my slacks like I was removing my own armor. The air felt colder on bare skin than I expected. My fingers trembled as I rolled the silky nylon up my legs. It was supposed to feel ridiculous, but instead it felt like a line being crossed, like entering a new world 1 inch at a time. The tightness hugged my calves, my thighs, and clung to me with a strange second skin grip. Why does this feel so intense? I caught a glimpse of myself. From the waist down, I looked absurd. But it wasn't just humiliation I felt. It was vulnerability. Control taken. The start of something I didn't understand. When I returned to her office, Veronica didn't even look up. She simply pointed to a chair across from her desk. I sat uncomfortable, exposed, hyper-aware of the nylon whispering as I moved. She typed something, then finally looked at me. Her eyes flicked down to my legs, then back up to my face. You followed instructions. Good. She leaned back, crossing her own stockinged legs, deliberate and mirrored. We'll begin your new training today. Training? Your role has changed. From now on, You will serve in a more refined capacity. She slid a folder across the desk. Inside were printed pages titled, Personal Aid Dress and Conduct Policy, Confidential. Section 1, Attire. All aides will present in full feminine office dress during assigned hours. Hosiery, heels, and modest makeup are non-negotiable. Wigs or styling assistance will be provided. Section 2, Demeanor. Aides must speak softly and respectfully at all times. Hands are to be folded unless in use. Posture will be corrected. Grace is expected. Section 3, Privacy and Discretion. No discussions with other employees. No photos or digital records. Violation will result in termination. I looked up, throat dry. You can't be serious. You humiliated me with that email, Andrew. This is your chance to prove how dedicated you truly are. I shook my head slightly. I didn't mean it. But you will. She stood, walked around the desk, and paused beside me. Her perfume was crisp, cold, and commanding. The question isn't whether you want to dress this way. It's whether you want to keep working here. Do you want to lose your job over a pair of tights? Or are you ready to commit to pleasing me? The phrase hit deeper than it should have. I said nothing. That silence sealed my fate. She smiled. Your new uniform will be delivered tonight. Tomorrow morning, we begin full presentation. I walked out of her office dazed. My inbox was still full of real tasks, budgets, reports, deadlines. But none of that felt real anymore. I could feel the pantyhose against my skin with every breath I took. What is she turning me into? And why am I letting her? The box arrived at my apartment before 7 a.m. Unmarked. Heavy. I opened the door in my boxers, half awake, and the courier had already vanished down the hallway. Inside was tissue paper, folded like origami around clothing. Not just any clothing. A full feminine business ensemble. A silky white blouse with pearl buttons. A sleek, dark pencil skirt. Sheer nude pantyhose. A pair of black, pointed-toe heels. A matching wig, shoulder-length brunette. A small black case labeled, Starter Makeup Kit, Discreet Elegance line. And, on top of everything, a handwritten note. Report to my office fully dressed. Walk through the front doors. No shortcuts. Veronica. I stood there staring at the note like it would catch fire if I looked long enough. She expects me to walk into work like this?
My mouth was dry.
My hands felt numb. But beneath the fear, there was a deeper sensation. Not just dread. Not just submission. Something else. A flutter of something dark and exciting. I took a long shower. Shaved everywhere. Combed my hair back under the wig cap. I followed the makeup tutorial exactly.
Blush.
Foundation. Lipstick. Mascara. It looked decent. Enough. Then I dressed. The blouse slid over me like cool water. The skirt zipped up tight around my hips. The pantyhose felt smoother this time. The heels made me walk differently. Slower. More aware of my posture. And when I looked into the mirror, truly looked, I didn't see Andrew Keller anymore. I saw something else. Something between who I was and what she wanted me to be. The hardest part wasn't wearing the clothes. It was walking into that building, past the same security guard who saw me every day. Past the glass walls. Past the reception desk. Hoping nobody recognized me or worse did. But somehow, I made it to the elevator without being stopped. My heels clicked against the tile like sharp little secrets. Veronica's private floor was silent. When I entered her office, she was already seated looking over a folder, legs crossed, cool as ever. She didn't look surprised. You're late. I checked my watch. By 3 minutes. Which means your punishment starts today. She closed the folder. But first, let me look at you. She rose and circled me slowly, as if appraising a mannequin. She reached up and adjusted my wig slightly. Her fingers brushed my cheek. Passable, she said softly. Barely. You humiliated me with that email, Andrew. I think it's only fair that I remake you until I see her in you, not him. I swallowed.
Hard.
So that's what this is about? Revenge. Not revenge, she said, touching the lapel of my blouse. Control. She handed me a clipboard with that same familiar personal aid dress code, but this version was longer. And at the bottom of the new sheet, a space for a signature. I, the undersigned, agree to appear in proper feminine attire during all business hours. I accept these terms freely and without objection.
Sign it, she said.
Why would I ever? Because this copy gets sealed in HR, Andrew. If you ever try to tell anyone what happened, I'll say you did it all willingly. And you'll look like a man who begged to be my perfect little secretary. My pen trembled as I signed. That day, she made me sit at a vanity table beside her desk for 2 hours, practicing lipstick,
Posture.
typing in heels. She called it refinement, but I knew what it was. She was breaking me down bit by bit until I stopped thinking like Andrew and started behaving like her version of me. I went home that night still dressed. She told me not to change until midnight, to marinate in it. And as I looked in the mirror again, that strange emotion returned. Fear, yes, but something darker, too. Curiosity.
Thrill. Shame. Excitement.
Who was I becoming? And more dangerously, was I starting to enjoy it? You're going to eat lunch in the employee lounge today, Veronica said, without looking up from her laptop. I blinked. Wait, what? Like this? She finally glanced at me. The black blouse she'd chosen for me was form-fitting, tucked into a gray A-line skirt. I had matching heels slightly lower than yesterday's. A soft pink lipstick. Wig combed straight. A pair of hoop earrings she'd clipped on herself, claiming, accessories matter. Yes, Andrew.
Just like that.
Or should I say, Andrea? The name stung. There are going to be people in there, I muttered. That's the point, she replied, turning a page in her notes. She stood, walked over, and smoothed a wrinkle in my blouse. They need to see you, and you need to feel it. Feel what? The discomfort, the submission, the transformation. You're not hiding anymore.
She leaned in.
Unless you want to walk in as Andrew in those pantyhose. That wasn't an option. The walk to the lounge was the longest of my life. Heels on polished floors, heads barely turning just enough to double-take. The secretary from payroll looked at me twice, lips parting like she recognized something off. My stomach tightened as I pushed open the glass door of the employee lounge. It smelled of coffee, old bagels, and quiet gossip. I sat at the edge of a small table, eyes down. My salad felt like punishment. 2 interns giggled behind their laptops. Someone coughed. A chair scraped. I wanted to vanish. Andrea, right? I froze. It was Marcus from marketing, a friend from orientation, one I'd grabbed beers with not 6 months ago. I turned slightly. Yes. My voice cracked. I tried to raise it.
Softer.
Feminine. Yes. He smiled, clueless. Don't think I've seen you around much. New. Sort of. Just transferred under Miss Steele. He nodded. She's intense. You have no idea. He left, but the feeling stayed. He didn't recognize me. Not completely. But the thrill of getting away with it. It mixed with something darker. Shame and power. Like I'd stolen someone else's skin, and no one had noticed. Back in Veronica's office, she looked up the moment I walked in. Let me see your lipstick. I hesitated. Pardon. I said, come here and let me check your lipstick. She turned her chair to face me. I stepped forward. She reached up and pressed her thumb against my lower lip. Pulled it away slowly. Smudged. You've been biting again. I said nothing. Tomorrow, she said, we try a darker shade. More noticeable. More obedient. That night, I stripped in front of the mirror. The skirt.
The blouse. The wig.
The bra with nothing to fill it. But what struck me wasn't the clothes. It was how natural it all felt now. Not comfortable. Not right. But less wrong. And my reflection no longer looked like a costume. It looked like a possibility. Am I becoming her? Or is she uncovering something I buried long ago? You're going to learn how to walk, talk, and behave like a lady. That's what Veronica said as she pulled down the blinds in her office. We can't have you clunking around in heels like a drunk giraffe, Andrea. I stood there stiffly in a burgundy pencil skirt, black tights, a blouse with too many buttons, and 4-inch pumps that made my calves ache. You already look the part, she continued, but I want elegance, precision, feminine grace. She pulled out a thin leather-bound folder labeled Phase 2, Compliance. And if you don't give me your full effort, she added, flipping it open, I'll send video clips from today's lesson to our HR department anonymously. I swallowed. She gestured to the open space in front of her desk. Now walk. Shoulders back. Hips forward. Head up. The first dozen steps were a disaster. My knees knocked together. I tripped once. Cursed under my breath. She stopped me with a sharp click of her pen. Language. Again. Every movement felt exaggerated. Vulnerable. But Veronica was patient, annoyingly so. She made me do it again and again, correcting me like a ballet teacher with a secret vendetta. Shorter steps. Don't stomp, glide. Pretend there's a string pulling you up from the crown of your head. Eventually something clicked. I wasn't just walking in heels. I was gliding.
Sashaying.
Even the sound of my steps began to change. Less panic, more poise. Good, she whispered. Now, let's hear your voice. She handed me a tablet with a vocal feminization app. You'll use this every night before bed. 15 minutes minimum. I can't sound like a woman, I said. It'll sound fake. You will sound like a woman, she said. Because you are one at least when you work for me. She pressed record on the tablet and said, Say, good morning, Miss Steele. I've completed your paperwork. I fumbled the line 3 times. Too low. Too robotic.
Too ashamed.
Relax your throat, she coached. Raise the pitch, but keep it breathy. Imagine air slipping through silk. On the 6th try, something new emerged.
Softer.
Tentative. She didn't smile, but she nodded. We'll refine that. It's a start. She gave me a list of rules to memorize like commandments carved in velvet. 1. Never break character on company property. 2. Use feminine posture, tone, and mannerisms at all times. 3. Keep lipstick fresh and appropriate to outfit tone. 4. Do not speak unless addressed. 5. No crossing legs like a man. I stared at the list and realized something terrifying. These weren't suggestions. They were new laws in the world I was now trapped in. And part of me wanted to obey. At the end of the day, she let me change. She didn't say a word as I peeled off the pantyhose and stepped back into boxers. But as I reached for the doorknob to leave, she spoke softly behind me. You did well today, Andrea. I froze. Almost natural. That night, I stood in front of the mirror, practicing my voice, recording myself, over and over. Good morning, Miss Steele. I've completed your paperwork, until I hated how much I wanted to get it right. It was just after lunch. My lipstick had worn down to a faint pink ghost. Veronica's voice echoed in my memory. You always reapply after eating. A real woman keeps her presentation flawless. So I slipped into the ladies' restroom. The lighting was harsh, almost surgical. I stepped up to the mirror and opened the compact she had given me. Lined with a tiny brush and a precise shade labeled Submission Number 12, it was meant to complement nervous blushes. As I dabbed the color across my lips, I caught something in the reflection, a flash of red blazer and blonde hair entering the restroom. I stiffened, tried to focus on the mirror. But then, Andy. My blood froze. I turned slightly. Standing behind me was Lisa Carter, a former project manager for my department, before I was transferred. She looked at me, confused. Brows furrowed. Mouth slightly open. Wait, oh my God. Are you Andy Andrews? My lips parted, but nothing came out. I mean, wow. It's just you look different. I didn't recognize you at first. She stepped closer, scanning me from head to toe. Her eyes flicked to my skirt.
My blouse.
My wig. And something in her face shifted. Not disgust. Not exactly judgment. Something more dangerous. Curiosity. Are you, like, transitioning or something? Or is this, work-related? I could feel my face burning. It's complicated, I stammered, my voice a shaky imitation of the one I'd practiced. She tilted her head. Veronica's idea? I looked up sharply. What? Lisa crossed her arms and smirked. Oh, come on. We all know she's into power games. Ever since HR gave her that open management role, she's been running experiments on anyone under her. That stunned me. So they noticed. And yet they never stopped her. Lisa leaned in conspiratorially. If she's got you doing this whole femme act, you must have really pissed her off. I didn't respond. Couldn't. Hey, she said gently, no shame. Honestly, you kind of pull it off. She left. Just like that. But the damage was done. I stared into the mirror. My reflection had been exposed. Not just seen, but recognized. Lisa hadn't outed me. Not yet. But the secret was no longer fully mine. And that terrified me more than being seen. The line between punishment and possibility was blurring. Back at my desk, I couldn't focus. I stared blankly at spreadsheets while my mind spiraled. Would Lisa tell others? Would Veronica find out? Was this the beginning of the end or the start of something deeper? At 4:55 p.m., my inbox pinged. From Veronica Steele. Subject: a visitor noticed you today. Come to my office. I walked into Veronica's office, heart hammering like it wanted to escape through my blouse. She sat behind her desk, calmly sipping from a mug labeled Queen of Compliance. Shut the door, Andrea. I did, hands trembling. You were seen today, in the ladies' room. Do you know by whom? Lisa Carter, I whispered. She nodded. And did you handle it professionally? I tried. She didn't seem like she was going to tell anyone. Seem isn't enough. I don't tolerate risks. She stood and walked to her side closet, the one I had never seen opened. From it, she pulled out a soft pink blouse with lace cuffs, a pleated skirt in pastel mint, and a matching headband with a tiny satin bow. And heels towering, white, glossy. This is your punishment outfit. Veronica, please, this is way too much. You don't get to choose, Andrea. She stepped closer, holding the clothes like a weapon. You embarrassed me. You exposed our arrangement. So now you will own it. Or would you prefer I ask Lisa to join us for a little coffee chat? My breath caught. She handed me the outfit. Get changed in the break room bathroom. Not the private one. But people will see. Yes, she said, eyes cold. They will. 5 minutes later, I was standing at the mirror, staring at the version of myself I never thought I'd allow anyone to see. The blouse was sheer, my bra visible underneath. The headband made me look like a schoolgirl. The skirt was short enough that crossing my legs was mandatory. I stepped out into the hall, and every click of my heels echoed like a fire alarm. Whispers. A turned head here, a stunned expression there. The junior assistant by the copier blinked at me and quickly looked away. The IT guy dropped his pen. By the time I reached Veronica's door, I could barely feel my legs. Inside, she smiled like a spider watching a fly wrap itself in silk. Very good. Now go fetch coffee for everyone on the 4th floor. No, Veronica, please. Do you want to sit in HR and explain this outfit instead? I couldn't speak. I took the tray she handed me and walked out exposed, fragile, hers. 1 hour later, I returned. Mascara slightly smudged. Voice hoarse from forced politeness. She waved me in, calm as ever. How did it feel? I paused. Then whispered. Humiliating. Good. That means it's working. She leaned in, her perfume sharp and sweet. If you obey better tomorrow, you'll get to wear pants again. Maybe. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about the look on Lisa's face. Or the small smirk on Veronica's. Or my own reflection in the elevator glass, holding a tray of coffee like it was a tray of shame. But worse than that was the tiny flicker of satisfaction I felt every time someone said, "Thank you, miss." Friday morning came with a new kind of dread. I opened my locker, now filled with nothing but dresses, skirts, blouses, and padded bras. The last pair of boxers I had left was gone. replaced with a small note written in Veronica's perfect handwriting. From now on, panties only. Compliance equals continuation. Today's outfit was already hanging from the hook. A navy blue sheath dress, slightly tighter than professional, but not quite scandalous. Sheer nude pantyhose, sealed in plastic. A pearl necklace and matching earrings clip-ons. And a new pair of heels navy suede stilettos I had never seen before. Taped to the mirror was another note. Today is formal inspection day.
Do not disappoint me.
I took longer than usual to get dressed. Every layer added pressure. The pantyhose clung to me like skin. The dress gripped my hips like it knew they were fake. The pearls clicked with every nervous movement. By the time I reached her office, I felt like I'd been dipped in shame and polished in obedience. She was waiting, clipboard in hand, eyes cold, lips amused. "You're 5 minutes late, Andrea." "I'm sorry," I murmured. She circled me once, slowly, like a buyer inspecting merchandise. Shoes acceptable, legs shaved, dress fits well.
Good.
Now smile. I did. Too forced. "Smile like you're happy to be here." She stepped close, adjusted my earrings, and whispered, "Because you are." Then she did something unexpected. She opened the office door, and 3 people walked in. 2 men in suits, upper management, and 1 woman I didn't recognize, sharply dressed, early 50s, with a piercing stare. I froze. Veronica turned to me calmly. "Andrea, these are members of our Culture Enrichment Committee. They're here to assess staff flexibility and adaptability." I blinked. "What?" "You'll be doing a brief presentation for them. 10 minutes. On your current project. In character." My voice caught. "In character?" She turned to me with a smile sharp enough to cut silk. "As the woman you've been trained to be. With grace, poised, and compliance." They sat. I stood in front of them, sweating under the dress, makeup clinging to every pore, unsure which part of me was still real. And I began. "Good afternoon. My name is Andrea, and I've been working under Ms. Steele for the past few weeks." My voice shook, but I kept going. I hit my project milestones, repeated the timeline, explained our budget controls, and every time I looked up, I saw their faces, confused, fascinated, but not laughing. They weren't mocking me. They were watching me. After the presentation, the woman stood and extended her hand.
"Thank you, Andrea."
"Very progressive work." I shook it.
Carefully.
Light grip. Feminine smile. As they left, Veronica closed the door. "Not bad. They're going to recommend you for client-facing tasks. Public work." My knees buckled slightly. I can't." "You will," she said flatly. "You impressed them. And now they expect you." I looked at my reflection in the window glass. Hair curled, neck graced in pearls, shoulders sloped just slightly like a woman. And I realized I was no longer just passing. I was being accepted. And that terrified me more than rejection. Friday evening. I thought I was done. I had survived the inspection. Managed to hold myself together under pressure. I was ready to go home, rip off the wig, wash off the makeup, and remember who I really was. But then the message came. "Dinner tonight. 7 p.m. My place.
Dress accordingly.
You're invited. Black heart, V." I stared at it, unsure what accordingly meant. But at 6:58, I stood outside her apartment in a soft gray sweater dress, opaque tights, a padded bra, and low heels. My lipstick was subtle. My perfume floral. I rang the bell. The door opened. Inside, Veronica stood barefoot in jeans and a blouse, holding a glass of red wine. And on the couch sat 2 other women I didn't recognize. One was petite, with a messy bun and designer glasses. The other was tall, with red nails and a tattoo peeking from her shoulder. They both looked up at me and smiled. "Ladies," Veronica said with a grin, "this is Andrea. She's my newest project." The petite one chuckled. "Oh, this is the one? You weren't kidding." I froze in place. "Relax, girl," said the redhead. "Veronica's talked about you for weeks. We're just here to see what all the fuss is about. I didn't know whether to run or curtsy. Dinner was wine, charcuterie, and rapid-fire questions. How long have you been dressing like this? Do you shave everywhere? What name did you pick for yourself? Do you ever feel more like a woman than a man? Veronica said nothing. She just watched, letting them probe me, letting me squirm. But something strange happened. I answered, awkward at first, hesitant. But as the night went on, the wine flowed. And they laughed with me, not at me. And at some point I realized I was smiling for real. Later, the redhead brought out a makeup bag. Okay, Andrea. Truth or dare? I blinked. What? Truth. Have you ever kissed a guy while dressed? Dare. You let us give you a full glam makeover. Veronica arched an eyebrow. Choose wisely. My lips parted.
Dare.
40 minutes later, I barely recognized myself. False lashes. Smoky eyes. Lined lips. A beauty mark drawn just above my cheek. They gave me a black off-the-shoulder top and tighter jeans.
Pushed up my bra.
Adjusted my wig. When they stepped back, their eyes lit up. You're beautiful, said the petite one softly. I looked in the mirror, and for a second, I believed it. The night ended with laughter and selfies. The three of them hugged me as they left. Veronica closed the door, then turned to me with a look that burned deeper than any of her commands ever had. Now you know, she said quietly. Know what? She stepped closer. That it's not just humiliation anymore. She reached out, tucked a lock of hair behind my ear. It's becoming you. I went home that night still in full makeup. And I didn't wash it off before bed. Monday arrived faster than I wanted. The alarm dragged me from sleep with the faintest trace of mascara still clinging to my lashes. I stared at the ceiling, the makeup bag still open on my nightstand like a silent witness. There was no going back. Downstairs, breakfast was the usual, coffee and silence. Veronica didn't say a word about the weekend or the dinner party. She handed me a new schedule. Starting today, your title is Client Relations Associate. Dress code, professional feminine attire. Full compliance required. My heart skipped. But what about my old role? Reassigned. We need someone more traditional. Her tone made clear that was the end of discussion. At work, I felt eyes on me again. But this time, there was no fear, just a strange calm. I slipped into my skirt and blouse, my heels clicking with purpose. Each step made me feel more hers. Throughout the day, Veronica monitored me, correcting a stray hair, adjusting my collar, whispering reminders to smile more. Clients respond better when you seem approachable. By noon, I realized something. Despite everything, I was thriving. My voice was softer, my posture straighter. Even the dreaded mirror in the elevator reflected a new kind of confidence. Back in her office, Veronica smiled.
See?
You're perfect at this. And in that moment, I understood. This wasn't a punishment. It was a transformation. A new life. One I wasn't sure I wanted but couldn't deny. The office buzzed with a new kind of energy. I wasn't just Andrea anymore. I was her, the woman everyone noticed but nobody spoke about. In the break room, I overheard hushed conversations. Did you see the new client rep? She's different. Yeah, I heard she was promoted overnight. Wonder what happened. My chest tightened. Was it admiration? Curiosity? Or judgment? Veronica caught my eye from across the room. She gave a subtle nod. Keep playing your part. Later, a colleague approached me. Andrea, can I ask, how do you do it? Dress so confidently, all the time. I blinked, caught off guard. I just try to be myself, I replied cautiously. She smiled. Well, you're doing a great job. But the whispers grew louder. And with them, my fear. That night, alone in my apartment, I stared in the mirror. Was this really me? Or just a role I was forced to play? Veronica's words echoed in my mind. You're becoming you. The knock came just after dinner. At first, I thought it was Veronica, but when I opened the door, there stood my childhood best friend, Raj. His eyes widened. Andrea? I swallowed hard. Hey, Raj. What are you doing here? He stepped inside, glancing around. I heard from someone at work. You're different now. My heart pounded. How much did he know? Raj sat down cautiously. Look, I don't judge. I just want to understand. For the first time, I felt a crack in my armor. We talked for hours. About who I was becoming, and what I was afraid to admit. But the night ended with a warning. Andrea, if Veronica is controlling you like this, be careful. People can be dangerous when they want to change you. As Raj left, I realized the biggest challenge wasn't hiding anymore. It was deciding who I could trust. The next morning, sunlight spilled across my bedroom, but I felt trapped in shadows. Raj's words replayed in my mind like a warning siren. Was I truly choosing this life? Or was I just a puppet in Veronica's game? At work, Veronica was all smiles. But I saw through the facade. She held the strings. I found a quiet corner and stared at my reflection in the window. The woman looking back was both me and not me. I had to decide. Fight back and reclaim control, or surrender and see where this transformation would lead. The choice wasn't easy. But deep down, I knew one thing. Whatever happened next, I wouldn't be the same. That evening, I sat at my desk, notebook open, pen in hand. I needed a way out, or at least a way to take back control. Veronica's hold wasn't just about clothes or appearances. It was power. I decided to fight fire with fire. If she wanted me to play the part, I'd do it, but on my terms. I started by learning everything I could about her. Work habits, weaknesses, even personal secrets. Then I reached out to Raj. Together, we plotted subtle moves to regain my independence without blowing everything up. It wasn't just survival anymore.
It was a game.
And I was ready to play. Monday morning felt different. I walked into the office with my usual polished look, but beneath the surface, I carried a new confidence. Veronica greeted me with a raised brow. Feeling bold today? I smiled. Just trying something new. Throughout the day, I carefully pushed boundaries. A sharper tone in meetings. A subtle refusal to stay late. Veronica watched closely. Her control was slipping. But so was my fear. At lunch, Raj dropped by with a reassuring smile. You're doing great. By evening, I realized the battle wasn't just external. It was me learning to accept myself, flaws and all. That afternoon, Veronica called me into her office. The door closed behind me with a sharp click. Her eyes were cold. I see you're testing limits. I'm just trying to be me, I said, steady despite the knot in my stomach. She paced slowly. Be careful, Andrea. You don't want to lose everything.
Her words felt like a challenge.
But also a warning. I squared my shoulders. Maybe it's time I stopped being afraid. Veronica's lips curved into a dangerous smile.
Good.
Because this game is just getting interesting. The days after the confrontation were tense, but electric. Veronica's icy control began to thaw as I held my ground. I started wearing subtle accessories that weren't in the approved list. A delicate necklace here, a splash of bold lipstick there. Small rebellions. At work, I took on projects that allowed me to showcase my skills, not just my appearance. Each success chipped away at the cage Veronica had built. One afternoon, Raj surprised me with a new proposal. Why don't we present your story to HR? It's time the company recognized your true potential. The thought terrified me, but also sparked a fire. Maybe this was my moment. I wasn't just Andrea the crossdresser anymore. I was Andrea the woman and the professional ready to take her life back. The HR office was smaller than I expected. But the moment I sat down, I knew this meeting could change everything. Raj stood by my side, a quiet pillar of support. I laid out my story, every part of it. The transformation, the challenges, the control Veronica had exerted. HR listened intently, asking questions that showed both concern and curiosity. When I finished, there was a heavy silence. Then, the HR manager nodded slowly. Thank you for your honesty, Andrea. We'll look into this. Walking out, a mix of relief and fear swirled inside me. Had I just risked everything? Or finally taken the first step toward freedom? The days following the HR meeting were a whirlwind. Whispers filled the office halls, some curious, others cautious. Veronica's smile was tight, her gaze sharper. Raj stayed by my side, reminding me I wasn't alone. One afternoon, Emma, my girlfriend, called. Her voice was tentative. "Andrea, I heard. I want to understand. Can we talk?" For the first time in months, I felt hope. Maybe my secret wasn't a prison after all. The road ahead was uncertain, but I was ready to face it on my own terms. Emma stood in my living room, eyes searching mine. "Andrea, I need to know. Is this who you really are?" My heart raced. Was this the moment of truth, or the moment everything shatters? I took a deep breath. "I'm still figuring that out." Her gaze softened, but held questions. "Whatever you decide, I'm here." But as she left, my phone buzzed. A message from Veronica. "We're not done yet. Be ready." The line between freedom and control blurred. And my next step would change everything.